Without water, there can be no life. Today, more than ever, water can be both master and slave to the human race. Throughout history, great civilizations have fallen when supplies fail or become unavailable. Yet, when water is harnessed, mankind can flourish. Cities rise from what was once parched desert. The United States population expands at a rate of about 4.5% every 4 years. Development is indispensable to support this increase. However, if our water resources are mistreated, supplies will not sustain growth. Of all the water on Earth, only about 3% is fresh. 3/4 of that 3% of freshwater allotment is frozen in glaciers and ice caps, which are melting at a rapid rate. The separation of salt from seawater presently has some serious negative factors associated with it. First, the cost is excessive in relation to the expense of properly treating and reusing current freshwater resources. A second, more critical problem is that the extracted salt becomes toxic waste. Its disposal becomes yet another environmental hazard. Today, water is being withdrawn from the world's aquifers and surface waters many times faster than it is being replaced by nature. The rate of net deficit from aquifers worldwide is roughly equal to the flow of the Colorado River. The demand for water is beginning to exceed the sustainable yield of aquifers and surface waters. As communities grow, more water is needed. Along with the advent of larger populations, individual usage is also increasing. Water consumption escalates as the standard of living rises. Affluence generally increases usage. Multiple bathrooms, greater landscaping, pools, fountains accompanied with increased leisure time all contribute to a maximum utilization of supply. In other words, water consumption is increasing faster than the population growth. As an example, on a global level, people in developed countries want better dishwashers. People in developing countries want water to wash dishes. As a general conviction of faith, the world as a whole has plenty of fresh water. However, water shortages can be historically significant. This has been the case since the beginning of life. Rain does not fall evenly over the earth. Some regions are too dry and others too wet. Periodic droughts are also a natural occurrence. Tree rings along the Colorado River Basin revealed droughts that lasted for decades and occurred back-to-back in the 1500s. It is therefore reasonable to assume that it could happen again, making management of our water resources even more important. Unfortunately, in addition to droughts, another common cause for water shortages is poor supply management. When cities and businesses dump waste in nearby rivers, lakes, and oceans, polluting them, the habitual course of action is to just secure another source of water. The obvious exposure to hazardous health conditions and the threat to the food chain are issues of increasing public concern. There are over 70,000 man-made chemicals in daily use, and there are an estimated 1,000 new chemicals being developed each year. We are living in a chemical bath of our own creation, a bath that saturates and contaminates our planet's air and surface waters above and below ground. According to the Center for Disease Control, every year an estimated 120 million Americans drink tap water contaminated with waterborne diseases and known cancer-causing chemicals. Whatever we put into the water supply becomes a part of our lives. A recent article in the New York Times stated that the number of antidepressant prescriptions in London had dramatically increased from 9 million to 24 million. As a result, traces of Prozac were found to be present in the water supply, perhaps creating another reason for even more depression. Similarly, surveys of some American water have turned up traces of everything from hormones to antibiotics. Water, of course, is used and reused over and over again. It is never used up. Every glass of water you drink contains molecules of water that have been used innumerable times. Thus, we are all connected, and we are all a part of the never-ending chain of life. It should be laid down in all prudently conducted states that if all the streams are not equally wholesome and the supply of wholesome streams is inadequate, the drinking water ought to be separated from the water used for other purposes. This was advice from Aristotle over 2,300 years ago. And the struggle to establish proper water management continues through the ages. In addition to usage from streams and rivers, man has been able to supplement water supplies from ground sources close to the surface with little consequence. As these water resources are used, rainwater naturally replenishes any depleted groundwater. Normal land contours and slopes, along with hydrostatic pressures, eventually return water back to their sources. As civilization advances and water close to the surface is further used up, man learns to dig deeper wells. Villages and eventually small towns spring up wherever a supply of water can be found. As the need for water grows, drilling technology advances and underground aquifers are discovered and used as new supply. Regrettably, altered land contours and reduced water tables change hydrostatic pressures, collapsing the aquifers. As these water tables compress, aquifers collapse permanently and water capacity becomes lessened forever. Hydrostatic pressures then begin to reverse, and sadly, so does the natural water flow. Soon, dirt, salt, and grimy, brackish water permeate once pristine wells and aquifers. Wells become undrinkable, and new wells must be drilled to provide water to now barren communities. Where is all this expanding water usage headed? Environmental stresses plus any number of natural disasters could easily lead to a local collapse. We must monitor and manage the environment far more wisely. The solution? Simple. Put the water back. Restoring water tables re-establishes the balance of natural slopes and hydrostatic pressures. Mother Nature has a chance to replenish, regain control, and put things back into balance. Better planning for our water resources is a necessity, not an option. As challenging as it may seem, we have the potential to influence the course of all life on Earth for the better. Creativity and new technology must be employed to preserve and sustain our current water resources. Capturing and recycling stormwater runoff contributes to our having an adequate and safe supply of water. This is a concern that affects daily life as it gives peace of mind as well as sustainable economic growth for further development. As demand for water grows, we must make better use of our supply because just securing another source of water will not always be the solution. The more we learn about water today, the greater the chance that we will flourish tomorrow, both in prosperity and in quality of life. We can employ water recycling programs to create this realization now. Looking at the world we live in today, mankind has a choice. We can utilize chemical-free wastewater treatment with technologies such as UV disinfection and activated sludge and create a world living in harmony with water. Instead of concrete-lined channels that limit groundwater saturation, it is important to design naturalized drainage ways that demonstrate how water can flow through all things in a natural way. Groundwater recharge programs help to return water to a more normal balance for further use. The way we treat water, in a sense, is a reflection of how we see ourselves and our future. After all, through water, we are related to all others as one family. If we care to have good health, then certainly we should do our utmost to care for the health of the water around us. Pollute the water, and you have death and disease. Respect the water, and you have abundant life and good health.